What's up, everybody? Andre here, and this is the Tennis and Bagels podcast. Stuttgart was an incredible tournament. I think it should be a 1,000 event, or I've already talked about this. I think that there should be another 1,000 event before happening at the same week as Monte Carlo. Stuttgart is not as big to have that, but it kind of feels like it. It's just so important. There's so many things like riding into it. Every big player plays. I believe there was like 6 top 10 players in this tournament. It was really amazing. But let's get to a bit of stats here first. The WTA race right now has Rybakina back in number 1 with 3,983 points, and Sabalenka just right behind with 3,800 points, a 183 point difference, which is not a lot. It's better than sometimes it is like 8 points, which is pretty intense. But the race is intense, right? And what's most important, not even the race itself, is by a tweet from Jose Morgado, points to defend in the rest of the clay season. Sabalenka, 2,515 points. Rybakina, 870. So there is a very, very good chance that Rybakina comes out of this clay season as the world number 1. And I think she can smell it. I think after she plays Stuttgart, I think that's Roland Garros, world number 1. That's dead set on the goal. I think that's what she will want to accomplish, and I think she can do it. I think that Stuttgart was really important for her to get to that point because she is not known as a clay court player. She has won Rome. She's reached the quarterfinals in the French Open before, but Rome was on the back of a few retirements, and the French Open was quite a bit ago at this point. None of her Grand Slams wins or finals were on clay. So I think that doing that was her signal to herself, I can do this, I can win. And I think the Fernandez match was extremely important for her because she was not playing at her best. Fernandez was coming off of a really big win, and she came out firing, she came out believing, she came out doing all that she does best and trying to get a big win that she hasn't had for a long time now. And Rybakina was match point down twice. She was down a break in the third set, and I think Fernandez even served for the set, which doesn't mean a heck of a lot. The Fernandez serve is not that great, but still, she needed to return, and she played some incredible shots. She played an amazing match. She played with a lot of clutchness, especially at the end. She kind of started picking up her level a lot more and a lot better. She started serving well as well. Started returning better too. So I think that winning that match was so important for her. And I think that the results after that really show that it was important, that she just had the belief that she can play well on clay. She beat Andreeva 7-5, 6-1 in the semifinals, and then Mukova 7-5, 6-1 as well in the final to win the title and drive over the Porsche. But had she lost to Fernandez, it would have been a huge question mark whether is she going to play well at all. Madrid and Rome are up in front, and it's just really hard to define right now who is really got the upper hand on each other. Sabalenka still, I believe, has the upper hand on the rivalry, and just on the clay court right now, I think she's still the better player. But Stuttgart was really, really massively important for Rybakina to, settle herself in, settle her belief in, and really go for it in Madrid and Rome. And whereas before, it would be a bit of a question mark on whether Rybakina can even make up for like these points that Sabalenka is defending, which, by the way, it's something that I believe most people kind of believe that she can defend these points anyways. But would Rybakina make a dent on that one? On the clay season, would have to wait for the grass season. I think it was a big question. But after Stuttgart, I think that's no longer in question. I believe that Rybakina believes in herself and believes that she can do well in Madrid and in Rome. And Madrid is going to be really interesting. I hope that she doesn't lose first round. And yeah, that's because the surface, not the surface, but like the conditions favor her. And then Rome. So there's still a lot of ball to be played and a lot of things to go on. But I think that Rybakina has that in the back of her mind, the belief that she can play well. I think Stuttgart is a really, really important tournament leading to the French Open. So yeah, the fact that she's won there, and that's the second time that she's won that tournament, by the way. Um, but the fact that she's doing that this time gives her the belief, not just to win the tournament, but to believe that she can be number one and the best player on clay. So I think that's where her sights are set right now. I think that we have a pretty set list of like who are going to be the favorites for the next few tournaments. And I'm really trying to set my sights at Roland Garros, the French Open, because that's where all of them are trying to play well for. They're all trying to keep themselves healthy to be in top shape for the Grand Slam, really, the major, and they will want to see how they perform in practice. Well, get match practice in Madrid and Rome, but obviously those are important tournaments. But they obviously, I believe, they will try to do their best to um, just try to do new things and see how they're playing in order to get better for the French Open. And one of these players that I think is going to really look at the French Open with wide eyes and really try to be at her absolute best for it, which hasn't really found in a few months months now, is Swiatek. Iga Swiatek has entered Stuttgart with a new coach, Francisco Roy. I talked about him a little bit before, or really the partnership. And what I saw this week was encouraging in a sense, disappointment in others. I guess you would be the same for just about anybody who's watched tennis before. First off, I don't think that she would have come out of the gates like winning tournaments, just because she changed the coach. I think that's a bit naive, and you don't build confidence by just making a change like this. Sometimes it can happen, but like the most common course of action is to make the change and then adapt and then probe some things and do some changes, and then you are able to see the results coming. And I think for Swiatek, that's what I saw. I think that what I saw from her was mostly really just trying to step away from just the power game. I felt like Swiatek might have this need right now to really try to match Sabalenka, match Rybakina for toe-to-toe power, just bashing balls, and just try to be as aggressive and as powerful as possible, going for the wins. And I don't think that really it doesn't really fit her game. She doesn't have the same forehand, doesn't have the same backhand. She doesn't have the serve to back it up. So it's not the game that she should be playing. And I think that she kind of probably recognizes that. And players have obviously gotten more ready for her as she went on her winning streaks in the past, right? So it was expected that she would need to make some changes in what she's doing. And I think that I saw some of that. I think that she's tried to use more of her top spin to just kind of place the ball and like just really trying to keep it a more of like aggressive position instead of like an aggressive shot all the time. I think she's been using her forehand and backhand with a little bit more shape and just kind of picking better moments to attack when she has a little bit more time or has a little bit of an opportunity to kind of foot her opponents and whatnot. So I think that they're trying to work on that one. But the thing that was disappointing for Swiatek was really the loss that she suffered from Andreeva, which was from a set up. And Swiatek was an extremely good front runner back in 2022. She won something like 100 and something matches, completed matches, um, in a row where she won the first set. So she was like 100 and something zero after she won the first set. And then she's lost something like 6 of her last 9 matches from a setup or something like that. And regardless of the stat, you just know that she's not exactly at her best right now. She just doesn't feel like herself. It feels like when she wins a set, what she's going through is like relief in a sense, but also the pressure to win the next one instead of like, it's almost like she's surprised by the fact that she's won it instead of like really believing that she can win and that after the first set she's a 90% chance of winning that. So losing to Andreeva after that point, I think, was just really showing us exactly how her mental state right now in confidence and match fitness is just really not there. And I don't think that she really is in contention for the French Open right now. I think she has a really outside chance of going deep into it. I think Rybakina is feeling a lot more confident. Sabalenka hasn't yet played on clay yet this year, but I think that she's just overall confident in any way, right? And she's probably preparing massively to win the French Open this year, even more so probably than Wimbledon. I think because she got closer to winning the French Open than she did winning Wimbledon. So I think that is definitely going to be more on her radar this year. I think it's really, she's probably putting a lot of pressure on herself to do so. And I don't think that Swiatek is going to be able to stop her this year unless things change, right? And as I said, the narrative is really tough to predict right now. It's really tough to really see who's going to do what in the French Open, just because the field is so strong and things can change in a week from the other, right? So it's really a wait and see. I really expect to see some of her form getting back in Madrid and see what happens in Rome. And if she's able to actually really exponentially raise her level and raise her confidence during those two tournaments, then I think I can see this happening at Roland Garros. I don't think that is this something that is impossible for her. She's a 4-time champion at the French Open, so I think she has the ability to maybe pull this level out of the depths of her subconscious, and she did so like last year and to win Wimbledon and then Cincinnati. But to do that at French Open, it's going to take a little bit more, I think. It's just a wait and see. But right now, and my biggest, I think the likeliest possibility is that Swiatek has just a very outside chance to winning the French Open this year again. I think for Muchova, it's a situation that's unique for her. She's an outsider player in terms of she's really good. She has suffered from injuries in the past. She's played really fantastic matches against top players and won. She's also lost a little bit more comfortably. I think that the loss to Rybakina is telling in the way that she wasn't ready to be her now at Stuttgart, especially at the level that Rybakina has been playing. Rybakina still surges as a bigger favorite to win Roland Garros than she would be. But she's a finalist. She played a fantastic match against Swiatek and won a set and took it really far in the third. It was one of the best matches I've seen this decade. And she does have that potential. She does have like that dog in her in certain matches. She works really hard. She has a fantastic game in general, just like so much variety. We all know this, right? Like we have seen her play like all the shots behind the back. She's just great, and I think she has a lot of potential. I don't think that she has the confidence yet, or really the belief, right? I think the confidence is something, right? She meets Rybakina in the quarters of semis. I think she might be able to pull off the upset. I don't think she's quite in the belief right now to really take on, like, I don't know, Goff and Rybakina and Sabalenka straight. I think there's quite a bit to demand off of her. She just really reached a lot of good things this year, though. So it's going to be very important to look for whatever she does in Madrid and Rome. I think that's going to be really impactful to see. There's still a lot of tennis to be played, an entire month of matches, in which any first round or, well, I guess like opening early round loss is going to be really it's going to be really tough to take for any of these players. It's going to be a real dampener on their confidence. But she still has time. She has time to play her best in Madrid. I think the surface, well, like the conditions might suit her, like a little bit more fast and more able to be more aggressive in that sense. And then there's Rome, where she can prepare a little bit more for like the conditions at Roland Garros. Is a lot more similar, as we all know it. So there is an outside chance. I would even say that like I would probably give Muchova a better chance of winning Roland Garros than Swiatek at this point, right? Because I just feel like while Muchova doesn't necessarily yet, or in Stuttgart at the very minimum, she didn't have the belief to go on and beat Rybakina in that final. Probably a little bit more emotionally exhausted too after her first win over Goff was so important. But I think Swiatek just doesn't have the confidence, and I think that Muchova has the confidence when she enters the court and she's able to do something. but the belief is just kind of growing, and Swiatek doesn't have neither the belief nor the confidence. She doesn't trust her game. She doesn't trust herself to lead. So yeah, that's why I think that Muchova right now sits a little bit more in front in the race to winning the French Open. But yeah, all this like rambling to say that Madrid and Rome are still going to be extremely important for us to see what's going to happen in at the French Open. There's still a lot of tennis to be played. A lot of players who are like really competing toe to toe. Rybakina is going to need that momentum from Stuttgart. She's going to need to carry that on and not lose early, especially I would say in Madrid, because if the conditions favor her and she loses early, it's going to be a real huge blow for her confidence. That she's going to come in at Rome, which is a tournament that she actually already won, by the way. But I think she might get to that tournament with the confidence a little bit more hampered. She might need another big Fernandez win on that regard. And the other players who are playing really well, as I said, we got Sabalenka, who I really am expecting to see just her regular self. I'm really curious to see if she's going to be as confident as she normally is. If it's probably going to take maybe 1 or 2 matches for her to like really get herself going, but she's normally so dominant. She's just been so dominant lately. She didn't play Doha and Dubai actually, and she's won the Sunshine Double. Maybe the same thing is going to happen here. Maybe she's just really keeping herself from injuries and fatigue, and just really like getting that strategy of peaking in the right moments, right? So playing Madrid, plays Madrid, plays Rome, maybe wins 1 or 2 of those, and just go into the French Open just really full on belief that this is her year. And then on the other side of the spectrum, we have players who are still building confidence but playing really well. We have Swiatek and Muchova, whom I've also mentioned why those tournaments are important for them. Just really build confidence. They get wins. It's going to be really important. More so for Swiatek. She needs a lot of wins against whoever it is. I think it would be really interesting to see if she can get a win against another top 10 player, because it's been a minute since she's done it. And yeah, I think for Goff, it's interesting because I'm not exactly sure how Goff is going to get out of this. It's just so hard to predict. It's tricky to say like at what level is Goff going to be playing at. What I probably believe is going to happen is that at the very minimum, she's going to play and win a few very ugly matches and just really power through her way into giving herself the chance of winning big matches, which is basically how she's done a lot of the tournaments before, right? So I think that while it could be a little bit dangerous to not be playing her best against players like, well, Sabalenka, who she kind of matches up pretty well, but other players, right? She doesn't want to come out making too many unforced errors off of forehand. But if she plays not so much of her best, I think it's going to be dangerous for her to just keep doing that. It's she would have, for me, probably would say like she would say is I would say she's maybe the third favorite to win the title of Roland Garros. I really think Sabalenka, I really think it's her year. But yeah, for Goff, it's going to be really interesting to see like how she does in Madrid and Rome. It's really hard to say, as I said, like, is she going to keep the level? Maybe she plays Madrid really well and in Rome really poorly, and it plays Roland Garros really fantastically. It's almost like on a weekly basis with Goff. The only thing that we can know for sure is that she's going to win a lot of matches. And then the last player that I wanted to talk about here, and probably a bit of my Canadianness speaking in here, but Leylah Fernandez, she's played really well in Stuttgart. I was really impressed with how she dominated Yala. I was not quite so impressed with how things were tough against Sammez. I noticed Sammez was playing fantastic matches. Her running forehand was ridiculous. I couldn't even believe some of the shots that she was pulling. But then she came through that and she played a match that I never expected any, I didn't expect the match to go to 3 at all. I didn't expect Rybakina to struggle at all with Fernandez. I thought it was going to be maybe a couple of tense games here and there, maybe a 7-5, 6-1 like happened in the semis and the final. But it just turned out that Leylah played a fantastic match. She saw that Rybakina was not at her best. She saw that she had a chance. She took it. She always believed she was playing. She's been playing with a lot of aggression, especially off of the backhand, I feel. I think she's playing a lot flatter now. And I think that while the win for Rybakina was really important, I think it would almost be equally as important if Fernandez had won that match. I feel like she would have believed so much more in herself. The last time that she's beaten a top 2 player was in her 2021 US Open run. So there's a lot that she's been missing lately. She's made the quarterfinals at Roland Garros. So I think that there's a chance that she performs well there. It's a wait and see again, like even for Fernandez, and she's kind of clutch in whatever match she plays. She tries her best, but sometimes the level just isn't there. Let's see if like she just didn't peak too early and play Stuttgart and just couldn't get the win, and that's gonna bring her down, or if she's just going to find that dog in her and go really well in Madrid and play really well in Rome. I think that's what it could be an underdog to keep an eye out for. I don't think she has any chance of winning the tournament. I think the draws need to really fall apart for that to happen, or she just needs to like really go on a tail like she did in 21 US Open and beat like 5 top 10ers in a row or something. But I'm not exactly sure that's going to happen this year. I think it's quite strong right now. I don't think Sabalenka would fold as hard as she did last when they played. I think that Rybakina would probably be wiser this time than open up the door so much for Fernandez to play her best tennis. So yeah, I think it's gonna be an interesting player to look to to follow in Madrid and Rome, and hopefully at Roland Garros she's playing her best. She's currently number 25 in the rankings, so she will be seeded. She has at least some of her path a little bit easier if she gets to only face one of those top players in the 3rd round. And that's going to be the same for Madrid and Rome. She gets a bye in Madrid, but yeah, we'll see. I think that Fernandez doesn't really benefit so much off of buys because she's just such a match player. She needs to get it going. And I think the buys might actually kind of hurt her because the other player might come in playing already a little bit warmer, but we'll see. It's just like my Canadian is speaking here, and I just kind of want to see whether she does well or not. So yeah, that's it for this episode. I just wanted to make like a very focused on the women's episode here, just because there's so much to happen and it's just so interesting. It's really hard to predict right now who's going to win what. I really am excited to see, even though I talked about all these people, I am truly excited to see a Rybakina Sabalenka match again. They're 2-1 this year. They've played big finals. They've played a lot of good matches. And I think Madrid could be a really good time for them to face each other again. And probably Rome would be even more interesting because since the conditions are similar, we would kind of get a bit of a prelude of what would probably, maybe, hopefully happen at Roland Garros if they meet in the final. Of course, they have to win a lot of matches before they get there. They have to win 5 matches in Madrid, 5 matches in Rome, and then another 6 at the French Open before they face each other because they're number 1 and 2, right? So that's what it is. But the other players are really interesting as well, and it's just tricky. The WTA is just so good right now. It's very interesting, and just the fact that Sabalenka and Rybakina are being this good, the field is so deep, and yet we had Sabalenka winning the Sunshine Double, and we had like Rybakina winning the Australian Open, and Rybakina and Sabalenka were in the final and in Indian Wells, and at the final and the Australian Open, and as a semifinal in Miami. So they are really making it an interesting race, right? So that's what I'm really excited to see. And I hope they play really well as well in Madrid and Rome. So yeah, right now, just to recap, I would say Roland Garros favorite, Sabalenka, Rybakina, Goff, and then I'm undecided. Probably maybe Swiatek or Mukova in that fourth spot. But even Pegula could come out and play really well. She's always playing really amazing. I know I didn't talk much about her. Well, I didn't talk about her at all in this video, in this episode, but she can do her damage, and we all know what she's capable of. So yeah, thanks so much for listening. Make sure that you follow us on Twitter, X at Tennis and Bagels, also on Blue Sky. It's just, I believe, Tennis and Bagels at bluesky.something. I always forget like what's it called. It's kind of a really convoluted name. But if you type in Tennis and Bagels, you are going to find me on Blue Sky as well. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe. It's going to be amazing. If you do, I'm going to be eternally grateful. And Give us a like, give us a comment. I always try to respond to everything. If you're listening to this episode, I thank you so much for listening to this episode in your podcasting platform of preference. And don't forget to save this podcast for later if you want to keep following my work. And if you really, really like my work and you want to support me, patreon.com/tennisbagelspodcast. That's a way that you can contribute. I'm just starting this. You get all of these episodes ads free for now. And if we reach a certain threshold, I'm going to start making exclusive content for it as well, right? So if you really enjoyed this, I really, really appreciate it if you supported me in that way. But if you don't, and you're just listening, if you listen all the way until here, I am already extremely grateful for your support and you liking and just discussing tennis with me. So thanks so much for all of that, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.